We are going to break down the Western Conference Finals between the Golden State Warriors and the Dallas Mavericks.
Here comes Dinwiddie, cocking it back. A Titanic finish.
27-point lead. Down goes Johnson. 3. Luka.
Oh no! Oh no, he didn't. Poole, the Euro, counted. Dishing, Looney extra feed to Green for the flush.
Kick. Wiggins still looking for his first field goal. Wiggins on the rack attack.
I like the Warriors a lot early. I think the Mavs are going to be underrated and have a real chance to drag it out after the early.
All right, we'll find out if those Mavericks are up for the challenge. Tonight, they are in San Francisco to take on the Golden State Warriors, Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals. Welcome into Heat Check, everybody, the show that gets you everything you need to know to get smart about Game 1 of the West Conference Finals. Brendan Glasheen, joined by a couple of the very best here at the Action Network covering the NBA, Raheem Palmer and Matt Moore. We're going to have best bets for Game 1 of the Western Conference Finals, tipping at 9 Eastern tonight. TNT is where you can find the broadcast. Everything we discuss on this show, Heat Check, picks, data, all of it available in the award-winning Action Network app. We did Game 1 of the East yesterday. Let's get right into it with the West here on this Wednesday. Game 1, Matt Moore, best bet. What do you got for us?
I think the Warriors -4.5. The number's low enough for me to go ahead and lay the points with Golden State. I am stealing from my colleague Raheem Palmer here and his Game 7 trend. Teams coming off of a Game 7 in Game 1 of the next series are 32-50 straight up at just 39%. The number's low enough, below 2 possessions, for me to go ahead and take the Warriors here. A big factor, I think, is going to be that the Mavericks played 2 pick-and-roll heavy teams in Utah and Phoenix. They run almost everything through pick-and-roll. The Warriors are not like that. They are actually one of the lower teams in terms of running pick-and-roll. A lot of their offense is generated through off-ball cuts and different types of mechanism. In particular, one thing I found is Dallas struggles versus handoffs and dribble handoffs. Even Phoenix had a lot of success against them with this type of situation, but they just stopped running it later in the series. And if you ask me why, well, I can't honestly tell you. You'd have to ask Monty Williams. The Warriors, meanwhile, are one of the best teams in the league at scoring off of handoffs. It gets the Mavs switching defense a little discombobulated and is going to be able to get them a little bit scrambled and in rotation. And once you force these switching defenses to rotate, it opens up the perimeter, which of course the Warriors have the shooters to capitalize with. Finally, Steve Kerr, home teams as a favorite in Game 1. They've been massive favorites before by more than 8 points. If they are less than 8-point favorite at home in Game 1, Steve Kerr teams are 7-3 against the spread. That's enough for me to go ahead and lay the points with Warriors -4.5 versus the Mavericks.
Okay, all great points by Matt Moore on backing Golden State in Game 1 after knocking off Memphis. Of course, that unbelievable Game 7. And still processing Game 7, Suns, Mavs. That still doesn't feel real. Raheem Palmer, last night, the under was a popular pick for Celtics and Heat. You're not afraid, though, to go back to an under tonight?
I'm not afraid at all. When you look at this Mavericks team, look, they play at the slowest pace they played the slowest place in the league in the regular season. They're 11th in pace among all playoff teams. So I'm going to go under 214.5. When you look at these two teams, these are two solid defensive teams. And it's just, look, the Mavs have gone under in 7 out of the 10 games since Luka has returned from injury in this postseason. So we all know that he kind of stagnates the offense a little bit. The Warriors, they switch. So he's going to be hunting switches with Steph Curry and Jordan Poole. And I just don't see this being a high-scoring game, a game that's going to go back and forth in transition. When you look at the Warriors, they turn the ball over a ton. But the Mavericks really don't even run. So I see this going under. I know it's going to be a popular play to play the over when you have these 2 3-point shooting teams. It's a little bit scary, but I think this game should be a little bit more lower scoring than the market indicates.
3-point shot, Raheem, is why I do think Dallas out of the gate, a lot of confidence coming into this game after a Game 7 win. I realize, like yesterday, we're discussing, Boston's not well rested. There's that Game 7 emotional high going into a Game 1, but I do feel In a lot of cases, as we discussed quite a bit yesterday, Boston's still the heavy favorite to win that series entering game one. In this case, Dallas, a significant dog to Golden State in the Western Conference Finals. I do like Dallas. My pick tonight will be Dallas first half +3. Dallas has showed up in first halves in this postseason, 13 games, 9-4 against the spread in the postseason in the first half, the Dallas Mavericks. Meanwhile, Golden State has yet to prove to me, I know stylistically, Matt Moore laid out some great points as to why stylistically this will be a challenge for the Mavericks for the full 48 minutes. But I've yet to see in the first 24 that Golden State's going to really put their foot down and focus out of the chute. Golden State 4-7 against the spread in the first half. They're a feel-it-out team, very much so in that Memphis series where they're just kind of letting Memphis hang around. Defensively, maybe a more connected basketball team without Ja Morant, as we witnessed when Ja got ruled out. And Raheem brought this up, the three-point shooting. The Mavericks are the number one three-point shooting team of all playoff teams and the four remaining. Three-pointers made in the first half per game. 8 threes in the first half, averaging 8.1 three-point field goals made in the first half. That leads all playoff teams. So while Dallas did have some performances where they put teams away, more so on their home floor in that West semi-series against Phoenix, some games against Utah, Dallas was still making a high percentage, most of their three-pointers in the first half. I think that bodes well for them to get off to a good start. Kind of a nothing to lose kind of spot for them too. So I'm not really into the whole pressure point of this game. I think Dallas comes out ready to go in this ball game. I like them first half to cover.
To add to your point, the Warriors, they averaged almost 12 turnovers a game in the first half. And they tend to cut back on their turnovers in the second half. And in the first half, I mean, they're turning the ball over at will. We saw it in the Memphis Grizzlies series. I think we'll see it tonight as well. So I like this play.
Go ahead. You're shaking your head over there.
Well, Raj is obsessed with turnovers unless it's about the Miami Heat. I will warn you on this one trend point,
Thanks.
Brendan. I think the play is pretty solid. Here's the one trend point I would warn you against. I just looked this up because that was an interesting one. So I looked up teams that played in a game 7 and are on the road in a game 1. First half, 9-22. So that is where you're at in terms of that's just straight up on the first half. Now with the points, maybe you can get inside this, right? Taking the points, I think, is probably the play here. I don't have the numbers on what the first half spread performance is, but as far as the first half straight up coming off of that game 7, and we did see now the Celtics led at the half last night because of a number of weird things that occurred in the first half of that game. So I don't think you're necessarily doomed here because we already have a team that just did it, but 9-22 is the trend historically for teams coming off that game 7.
Well, may I add, and you said this yesterday, and I think we both agreed with you. It was the most lopsided game 7, I think, ever. Stunning game 7. It's not like now if they're coming off a really that wasn't like Boston. Well, Boston did blow out Milwaukee, but just that was different, right? That was a different kind of blowout.
They got to be feeling good considering there's photos of Luka having a hookah and a beer, really locking in that Luka Doncic locked in having a hookah and a beer the other day with Boban.
Yeah, I mean, look, is Dallas feeling itself quite a bit here? I don't know. I think they've played the underdog card pretty well so far in this postseason. So I like the first half, but yeah, full game. I think it's hard to go against Golden State in game 1 as you laid out. Okay, moving on. Let's go to the betting wheel. It's always a fun part of the show. The wheel has player props for tonight's Western Conference Finals Game 1, player props all over. Wherever the arrow lands, we're going to spin it. The producer will spin it, and then wherever it lands, each of us will weigh in. We don't know going in. We don't know what we're going to get here. So Matt Moore is first. The wheel is ready. Look at it. It's blue, gray, and gold. Yep, spin it, please. I know I won't shut up. Here we go. Andrew Wiggins, points, rebounds, 21.5. Wiggins in a big series with the Golden State Warriors. I'm curious how he comes out ready to go. Matt Moore, what do you think?
Let's go over here. So if you think about how I'm capping the series, right? The Mavericks are going to try to put pressure on ball. That's what they're really good, which means that the off-ball guys are who benefits. Jay Crowder got a lot of attempts in that series versus the Mavericks. So did Mikal Bridges. He just couldn't make him pay. You saw these kind of spot-up opportunities, but the Suns are so geared on trying to create those on-ball pick-and-roll mid-range jumpers with Chris Paul and Devin Booker. They never really got to it. The Warriors, on the other hand, are really good about making reads and trusting each other. The Andrew Wiggins, by the way, he leads the Warriors in points off of cuts in the postseason so far. That's what he's done, is he slides in and takes advantage of how the defense reacts. He's fourth in three-pointer attempts per game for the Warriors, and we're only looking at 21.5 here. Especially, I'll tell you, if the Mavericks are going to switch everything, that's going to lead to rebound opportunities. A lot of jump shots, I think, in this series, which are a little bit longer, that favors an athletic player like Wiggins. Wiggins actually had some really strong rebounding performances versus Memphis, who started switching later in that series. He wound up with 9-8 rebounds. I'm not saying he's necessarily going to get that high, but it's enough for me to go ahead and go over 21.5 points in rebounds. I think Andrew Wiggins has himself a series. I think he starts with game 1.
Raheem Palmer, do you have a feeling that Andrew Wiggins can play a big part in this game, this series?
I definitely do, but I mean, it's hard for me to trust Wiggins. I mean, actually, I think my prop is actually correlated with what he has.
Okay, that's right. This isn't a side, Matt, as you warned me yesterday. So Raheem is just Raheem's model, though, as you said, it plays out. It works in his favor. Speaking of Raheem Palmer, it's his turn. Let's spin the wheel for Raheem, please. Will he get a gold prop? No, he'll get the Klay Thompson blue. I love that Golden State blue, by the way. Points prop set at 21.5, another 21.5, but it's just the points for Klay. Raheem, what do you got?
I'm going to go under. And look, I already told you guys I like the under on this game, but when you look at Klay Thompson, he's going under in the last 5 games against the Mavericks. He's taking 50% of his field goal attempts from behind the arc. So, I mean, you're playing a Mavericks team which is good at limiting 3-point field goals. I mean, they're 7th in opponent 3-point field goal frequency and 3rd in opponent 3-point shooting percentage at 34%. So they got to limit those attempts from Klay. I don't see him really going over. And then also when you look at the other side of the ball, Klay is going to be responsible for Jalen Brunson, who drives to the hoop. And we all know Klay isn't really the defender that he was before his injury. So he could get in some early foul trouble. And the Golden State Warriors, they have a ton of weapons. So Klay isn't going to need to put up 22 points in the way that he did in the past with, the older Warriors team. So I'm going under here.
Matt, with that take by Raheem on Thompson, does that concern you at all to get to a -4.5 or a 5.5 now that the line's adjusted?
No, and in particular, I think actually, like, if I was going to kind of go back at Raheem on this, my point would be the Warriors are going to run off-ball screens, which the Mavericks are then going to switch. And when they switch it, Dorian Finney-Smith or Reggie Bullock is no longer guarding him. Little Billy Jalen Brunson trying to get a hand up versus big, tall Klay Thompson. The other thing I'll just say is, like, look, it's possible Klay goes under this number. The injuries have sapped his consistency. He has really good games. He has really bad games. If Raheem's wrong, he's going to be off by like 15 points. If he's right, he's going to be right by about 9 points, which is why I think this is actually just like a stay away. But I'll also say this. I think the Mavericks' entire game plan, I think, is going to be geared around trying to shut down Steph Curry. I think they're going to really game plan to try and take out Curry and to punish Jordan Poole. I think Klay Thompson is harder. And also, I'll say this, Klay Thompson's also been really good off the dribble. I think he's been really good at creating shots for other guys. I would look for a points and assists combo to see if you can get a better number maybe there, but I do kind of lean towards the over. Look, Raheem really likes this Mavericks defense. He likes this Mavericks team. He really believes in this team. I'm not quite as sold yet. I know they're in the Western Conference Finals. I'm just not there versus a player of Klay Thompson's caliber. So I can't agree with him here, but if he's right, he's going to be right by 6-7 points.
May I add, before I get a chance at the wheel here, it's really a shame because we don't know when we come into the show that we don't know what we're going to get on this betting wheel. And knowing what we know now about Luka and what he's up to this afternoon, which who knows? It is kind of a shame that we can't use that as a way to handicap a Luka prop on the wheel. So maybe it's better that he's not on the betting wheel for our sake, because that would take place in the handicap.
Look, I believe in Luka so much. I think he's gonna put up a Luka Iverson performance. I mean, we all heard the stories of Allen Iverson going to the casino and being drunk and being at clubs and still going out there and putting up 50. I think believe he might in be Luka.
Better. Yeah, I think he might be. I think he might be better after Cavorton. I think he might be just a little bit better.
It becomes a legendary photo if he has a game of his life. All right, well, let's go. We'll spin the wheel for me. Let's wrap up this portion of the show. Reggie Bullock, which Kevin, did you guys hear the broadcast? TNT Kevin Harlan, the play-by-play guy, was saying that he wanted to be called Reggie Bullock. Apparently now.
Yeah.
So,
oh wow.
So I guess I'll call him Bullock too, because lock in over 2.5 threes. Gonna take the over on this prop. Reggie Bullock has been pretty awesome from 3-point range. In 8 of 13 playoff games, he's made 3 3-point field goals. The volume has been there. He's the leading 3-point attempts guy for the Mavs, just under 7 per game. So while I see, looking at odds here, Dorian Finney-Smith has the same number at 2.5, the same odds at plus 120. Bullock's getting more looks per game. I like that. And while solid in the regular season, I think we talked about this yesterday, all 4 teams still standing in this playoffs. Celtics, Heat, Mavs, Warriors, all top 4 defensively against the 3. But Golden State, they've allowed 13 threes a game in their playoff run to this stage. That is the last of the 4 teams remaining. It's middle of the pack of all playoff teams. And the opponent is shooting at 37% from 3. Again, I'm kind of it's kind of like what Matt just said about, I want to wait and see about Dallas. Well, I want to wait and see if Golden State is going to really glue it back together as it did defensively in the regular season. I've yet to see it specifically on the 3-point arc, and Bullock's been the go-to guy here. He's playing a ton of minutes too. That's why I also like this over. You get it at plus money. Bullock could be the guy, especially with a lot of attention on Luka. Dorian Finney-Smith, I think, will also have to be serving as an inside presence to help box out on the glass. So give me an over here on Bullock. He's done this in more than half the games for the Mavs in this postseason.
I mean, look, if I'm on Warriors, I can't like this, right? And so I don't necessarily like this because for starters, so he got a lot of attempts. Basically, the Suns kept playing drop coverage against the Mavericks, which made zero sense, just made no sense. And yet they kind of continue to do that. Coach of the year, Monty Williams there. And I'll say this to Raheem's point about the pace, the Mavs they grind the game down so much. Like the Warriors may run, but I don't know if the Mavericks are going to run. I'd like to look up and see how many threes in transition the Mavericks take, because you mentioned the Warrior stats in terms of threes allowed. Yes. I feel like a lot of those from Memphis were probably transition threes, right? Like Memphis likes to run up and down. Yep. They like to push the pace and take those big momentum threes and those type of things. That's not what Dallas does. Like Dallas is like, let's walk it up and grind it out. Now, Bullock may wind up getting over just based off attempts if they're just like constantly throwing up threes if the Warriors can't defend it. So maybe you're right on that one. The 8 of 13 trend, I think, is pretty solid. It's only 2.5. I just feel like with playing overs, especially on things that are not Luka, is really perilous given Mavericks pace. They just play at such a grind it out style. I worry about just simple attempts being enough if they really, because if the Mavericks want to win this game, this is what they want. They want an efficient night shooting in a low scoring, low possession game. That's what like the Mavericks entire approach is. So that to me is kind of what it looks like. Could very well go over. Bullock is he's a great shooter and he's been excellent for them. But I can't go on with you on the over because I worry about the Warriors adjusting their scheme and I worry about the pace of the game.
8 of the third. So of the 8, he hit over when he hit 3 threes. 5 of those games were against Utah, which were lower scoring contests. Not quite the pace like Memphis, but yes, to your point, the minutes, the attempts were up in that Memphis series. That is true. So Bullock made the most of his limited attempts in comparison to the West semis like he did in the first round. So that brings us to series pick. Who we like to win the series? Who is going to meet Boston or Miami in the NBA Finals? Matt Moore, we'll start with you.
I'm very much of two minds. Raheem always knows this from working with me on buckets, but he's been pushing me to be a little bit more confident in these takes. So I'll just go ahead and say this: Warriors in 5.
Whoa!
Look! They beat the Jazz that basically were like, please end us, please make us trade everyone. And then they faced the Phoenix Suns, who basically face-planted into a pile of their own vomit in 3 games. I just don't know if necessarily the Mavs are that good. I don't know how much of that was the Mavs and how much of that was where the Suns and the Jazz were at. Meanwhile, I got the Golden State Warriors. We knew the Memphis Grizzlies were going to give them a hard time. Luka's going to have a great series. Everybody's like, who's going to guard Luka? No one's going to guard Luka. It's Luka Doncic. He toasts everybody. He cooked Mikal Bridges. He's going to cook. That's what he does. But Jalen Brunson's going to be going up against bigger defenders. Draymond Green is the best defensive player in the series. There is not Dorian Finney-Smith is an all-NBA defender. He is not close to Draymond Green. They have not faced a switching defense the way that the Mavericks run or the way that the Warriors run. They have not run a team that plays 5 out the way that the Warriors run. They have not faced a team with the kind of shooting threats from perimeter, the way that Steph Curry, Klay Thompson, and Jordan Poole are. The Warriors have an edge in size. They have an edge in athleticism. They have an edge in coaching. They have an edge in everything except who the best player is. If you ask me who the best player in the series is, it's Luka Doncic. If you ask me who 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6 are, they're all Golden State Warriors. I think we've gotten way too far in love with the Cinderella darling Mavs team. Oh, Luka! Oh, can you believe Luka? This is the Warriors. They've won 3 titles. Put some respect on their name. Warriors in 5.
Well, Raheem, you got confidence there. I mean, you can't complain you might complain about the pick, but you can't complain about the confidence.
You remember that scene in The Godfather when they sent the fish to the Corleone family and said, Luca Brasi sleeps with the fishes? That's what I feel like Matt just did to me. But I'm not buying it. Look, Luka Doncic is a killer, stone cold killer. He's the best player in this series. But beyond that, when you look at this Warriors team, this is not the same Warriors dynasty that we saw during the strength and numbers years. This is an older version of Steph Curry, older version of Klay Thompson, older version of Draymond Green, along with a bunch of kids. I mean, I still don't trust the rest of these guys in the playoff series, and we still don't see the consistency from this team that we saw in the dynasty years. This is a team which is averaging 11.5 turnovers per game in the first half. So they're just coughing up the ball at will. They're playing a Mavericks team which doesn't turn the ball over at all. So they're going to have that advantage. Now, I know the Warriors should be able to dominate on offensive glass and whatnot, but I think the Mavericks have the better offense. I think they're going to hunt Steph Curry. I think they're going to hunt Jordan Poole. I think there's going to be some games where they're in foul trouble. I think there's going to be some games where the Mavericks outshoot them. I still don't totally trust this Warriors defense. They're allowing the 11th highest frequency of 3-point field goal attempts. Look, this is a team that got beat by 39 points against the Grizzlies on the road. And in 2 of their home games, like, if Ja Morant is there and can, they have a point guard which who can get them a basket in a half court, I think the Grizzlies win. So I'm going with the Mavericks in 7. I think what we're seeing here is going to be a series that's very similar to LeBron James ending the chapter of the Detroit Pistons back in 2007. I think we see that here with Luka. Luka won't be the one sleeping with the fishes. It's going to be the Golden State Warriors. Wow. Mavericks in 7.
Okay. Very good. Well, I'll take it a step further. I like them in 6. I like the Mavs in 6. Ooh. They're going to have urgency in that game 6. We cannot go back to Oracle. We need to end this now in Dallas. But yeah, I mean, Matt makes great points about the 3-point shooting of Memphis and how they get up and run. So maybe that's why those stats are skewed because of the previous series. But again, from a defensive standpoint, this whole like flip the switch thing that Golden State has been up to here in this postseason as it pertains to their defense, I'm a little concerned about it. And Dallas has been absolutely dialed in, no matter what the style may be. They can't stop shooting the ball so well. Until I see it, I'll believe it. They've shot the ball so well. Luka makes the right read. He plays the game the way it's supposed to be played in terms of how that particular game goes by. Luka does what's necessary for that individual game and that individual task. So, and look, like I say it in 6, it's like, it's close. If it goes to a game 7, I'd probably take Golden State. But I think Mavs are going to be up 3-2 in this series, and they're going to close the deal at home.
Brandon, I'm so glad you're here because we have a Warriors biased team here at the NBA section, and I've been the only one who picked the Mavericks. So I'm so glad you're here. You have no idea.
Go ahead, Matt. Respond, and then we'll get out of here.
We got a lot of I don't trust the Warriors for a team that won 3 titles and was on pace before injuries to finish with either the best or second best record in the Western Conference this season and in the NBA. Like we got a lot of I don't trust the Warriors.
This is not that same team.
And I no, but they were still on pace to be the 1 or 2 seed before the injuries, Raheem. They finished with the 3rd seed. No, they finished with the 3rd seed with Steph out for multiple months and Draymond out for multiple months. The Mavericks wound up with the 4th because of a late run. And their second best player is who?
It's not how you start, it's how you finish.
All
and
right.
Look, the Golden State Warriors started off 18-2. Steph Curry was about to break the 3-point record, and then somehow he just completely fell off a cliff.
What else happened? Draymond got hurt. We'll see. We'll find out. We'll find out, you and me.
We will find out.
Okay, good. I'm glad I got left out of that because I said 6, not 7. So, okay, looking forward to a great series. Both series. We did a show yesterday. We did a show today. Looking forward to it, everybody. Just want to recap the show. Matt Moore tonight is on Warriors -4.5. Wiggins over 21.5 points plus rebounds. He likes the Warriors in 5, and he said it with confidence, like the movie The Godfather. Just pick a scene. Matt Moore with vindication. Raheem Palmer tonight's game 1 under 214.5. Klay Thompson under 21.5 points tonight. Mavericks in 7. I like the Mavs tonight in the first half +3. Reggie Bullock over 2.5 made threes. Mavs in 6. Tune into the Buckets podcast throughout the course of the week. Want to remind everybody, we have a Bet Spaces tomorrow night, 6:30 Eastern time, Thursday night before Heat Celtics game 2 in Miami. So check us out, 6:30 p.m. Eastern time, getting set for game 2. I think that's all the time we have. So we'll let the Mavs series picks digest. Matt Moore will drive himself insane that we went that far on this show and get out of here. Thanks, Matt. Thanks, Raheem. For those guys, Brendan Glasheen. Thanks for tuning in, everybody, to Heat Check. We'll see you all again very soon during these NBA playoffs.